Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome. In the system of yoga, and in particular also in our tradition, the Satyananda Yoga tradition, we often find that in the practices and the techniques, the practitioner is asked to visualize something, whether it is in the practices of meditation, like a japa, whether it is in the practice of yoga nidra. At the end of yoga nidra there is the visualization part, whether it is also in other different meditative techniques and practices of yoga. We are asked to visualize something. Like at the beginning of a class and at the end of a class, before we chant Om, we are also asked to visualize the image of flame, like a candle flame. And then we chant Om. There's the visualization also in relation to yantras and mandalas, chakras, so on and so forth. So, to visualize, it is a potential which we all have. Everybody, I believe that everybody is capable and it is possible to visualize. In fact, we have the proof of this when we dream at night. A dream is a state where we experience some visual. We see things, we see scenarios, we see people, we see panoramas, we see many things in the dream, in color, in 3 dimensions. So everybody can visualize, and our mind has that potential, in particular the subconscious mind. But when we are practicing yoga, most of the time it is our conscious mind which is active. And through the conscious waking state mind, we have experience of seeing something. There is an object, like there is a microphone. The microphone is there, the object. There is the sense, the sight, the eyes are working. There is a mind, a brain that receives that image. So I see an object, I see the microphone, which is present in front of me. There is the light, there are all the conditions to see. And sight is very powerful sense. It's the most powerful sense, because we can see very, very, very far away. Now this is seeing, but what is visualizing? Visualizing is when the eyes are closed and the object is not there. You see, for the experience of the waking state conscious mind, there are these conditions. And the condition is that the object is to be there, the light is to be there, the sight has to be there, the eyes have to be working properly, then we see something. But to visualize, it's different, because we do that when the eyes are closed. We visualize, like when the practices of a japa or yoga nidra or chidakash dharana or any other practice, the eyes are closed. and we are asked to visualize something. So this means that every thing, every object, everything that exists has a form. So we say microphone. Microphone has a form. We say rose. Rose has a form. Apple. Apple has a form. It has a name. Microphone, apple, rose. And there is the idea in our brain. There is the knowledge. There is the idea. There is the exact idea that is represented by the name, and it is connected to the form. So when we say flame, candle flame, we know, we have the idea of what is a candle flame. It is in our brain. We know what is the form. And there is the name, flame, candle flame. These three things. And these three are for everything. Everything that exists in the world, in the universe. There is form, name, and idea. So when we are sitting or lying down in Shavasana and we want to visualize a rose, a white rose. So how we do that? We start with bringing out the idea. The object is not there, the form is not there because the external form is not present. We have the idea of white rose. We hold the idea. Okay? We hold the idea, we hold the thought, we hold the idea of white rose. And as we are holding that from that idea, we are trying to develop the image, the form, the internal form, the form related to that idea and that name. So we hold the idea, white rose, and maybe in the Chidakash, instead of seeing the white rose, we see some outline, some darker or a bit brighter outline that resembles vaguely of a white rose. That is imagination. We are transforming the idea into an image. In this sense, it is imagination. We are transforming the idea, the content of that idea, into an image. And that is imagination. And as this imagination is protracted and developed and held, then it becomes visualization. That is that we see the white rose. In the same way as we can see things outside, we see a white rose in the Chidakash or in the mental eye, but there is no white rose physical present anywhere. We are seeing it. That is visualization. So it starts with the idea, holding the idea, developing the idea, and then we come to imagination. And this imagination, when we say imagine in the system of yoga, when we say imagine the white flame, imagine this or imagine that, is not fantasy. It means that we are trying to create an image out of that idea. And then comes visualization, when we have the experience with our closed eyes, we have the experience of seeing in 3 dimensions with full colors and everything, that image. That is visualization. And I repeat, potentially we can all do that, but there are some obstacles, especially when we are sitting trying to meditate or in Shavasana. That is that mind is not relaxed, mind is not trained. There is not enough even self-confidence on the fact that we can visualize, because that is the expression of the subconscious mind. So the mind is to be relaxed, senses have to be withdrawn. That is why in the system of yoga they talk about pratyahara. Pratyahara means that the sense organs which are directed outside are withdrawn inside. So there is no disturbance, there is no movement, there is no activity of the mind going out and responding to the external stimuli. And that is also what happens when we sleep and dream. When we sleep and dream, during dream, the mind is disconnected with the external environment. It's completely disconnected. You are lying down in bed somewhere in your room in the dark, and suddenly in the dream you are in a beautiful beach somewhere in some island out in this hot sun with birds and palms and all these things. Complete different experience and scenario. That happens because the mind, the conscious waking state mind, has stopped interacting with the senses, with the external environment. Then subconscious mind comes in play, and then the potential of subconscious mind is expressed in delivering, in presenting thoughts, but in the form of images, forms, shapes, and also sounds. So that is visualization. One idea, holding the idea, developing the idea into an image, and visualizing. And mind has to be trained for this. So first we need the relaxation of mind, a certain degree, a certain level of pratyahara. And then comes also the gradual training of the mind. And for this, I remember one of the Satsangs or lecture of Swami Satyananda, which is said about visualization, that in order to train the mind in visualizing, at the end of the practice of Yoga Nidra or during meditation, one should have a set of like 20 images. 20 images, and keep them in the same sequence and the same image, one after the other, and visualize, like we have in the Yoga Nidra, a rapid image visualization. You know, you have candle flame, then a Greek temple, then birds flying and red clouds, like this image. So one should have a set of 20 images and try to visualize the same sequence of image. Create one, think of one, try to see one, and then drop it, go to the next one. Hold it, try to see it, try to visualize. hold it, and then drop it. Go to the next image, like this. And if one does this over a period of time, then it is possible to begin to visualize something in the practice of Yoga Nidra, or even for your own psychic symbol, or in Japa Japa, also many other images to be visualized, which is where the mind is focused, where the mind is directed. And then that is also when we are moving from pratyahara into dharana. And the image is the focal point. And then it becomes a form of concentration. And to concentrate, the quality of image also is important. Quality of image, I mean, if it is in dimension, in 3 dimension, with full color and everything, the mind will stay there. But if it is just a cloudy, foggy shape in the dark space of Chidakash, then more difficult to hold the mind there. So training is necessary. And beside this training of visualizing 20 images one after the other, keeping always the same sequence, keeping always the same images, then there are other practices which are useful. One is that of the Hatha Yoga, Shatkarmas, Neti, and in particular Tratak. Tratak is a fantastic practice technique that helps and trains the mind in visualizing. Because in the practice of Tratak we have both the external image, like we practice in Tratak on the candle flame. We have a real candle flame outside with open eyes, we gaze steadily at the flame, and then we close the eyes. And when we close the eyes, there is the after image, the inner after image, and we focus on that image. And even if that after image is a impression of the retina, we should not think that. We should then hold that image, and in that image trying to see the flame, the exact same flame as the one which is outside. So Tratak is very, very important practice to train the mind gradually in being able to visualize. And these visualizations, they always happen when we are either sitting or lying down in Shavasana and the eyes are closed after a process of relaxation of the mind. Not immediately. It's not that we either lie down or sit down and immediately we try to visualize many, many, many things one after the other. So potentially we can all visualize, but it is necessary to create the proper conditions. Mind has to be relaxed. All the different mental and emotional tensions should be relaxed. We should be able to develop a certain level, a certain quality of pratyahara. and have a image, a chosen image to utilize. And many people do have the psychic symbol. All the people who took mantra diksha, together with the mantra diksha, together with the mantra, they have received a psychic symbol. And what is that psychic symbol? What do we do with the psychic symbol? It is meant to be visualized. So when you're practicing your japa, at the beginning you chant Om, whatever, Shanti mantra if you like, then briefly visualize your psychic symbol, but briefly think it. Then you practice your japa. 1 mala, 2 mala, what is it? At the end of 1 mala, at the end of 2 malas, then again you try to visualize your psychic symbol. Hold it. If it is candle flame, okay, hold flame, 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 hold the idea, hold the image, try to see, try to visualize the flame. That is the use of the psychic symbol. And it should be connected with the practice of japa, the mantra. So, visualizing is to see inside, is to develop the idea into an image. And then we have visualization. And everybody can, but the conditions have to be right. And the right conditions, I repeat, I say one more time, is that of relaxation of the mind, pratyahara, and training. And another important training is to train the mind in believing that it can visualize. That is the self-confidence, the trust, the faith in one's mind. Because visualization then can become very, very powerful aid. And that is for our yogic practices, whether meditation, yoga nidra, so on and so forth, but also for many other things in life. We think a lot of things, but we do not see any thought. The majority of thoughts we think they are useless thoughts. But if the important thoughts we can visualize, then our actions, our behavior, our interaction, our expression, the way to solve things, to do things, becomes very, very easy. It becomes very easy. Because in visualization we are using the resources of the mind. And everything is first in the mind. First we think, first we decide, then we act. For everything, whatever we are doing, whatever we want to do, if you want to join a yoga class, first you decide, you say, oh yes, I want to join a yoga class, I want to practice yoga, I want to buy a car, I want to do this, I want to do that. All that is in the mind. Then there is action. So mind, and training of the mind is very important. I remember one instance many years ago. I heard this story of a person, I think he was an English man, who wanted to cross the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, with a canoe, with a kayak, like this. But he had a problem, and the problem was that whenever there was a big wave, he would capsize, and he would be with his head in the water, and he was not able to turn up again. So he tried many times and he always failed, until he came across the practices of Yoga Nidra and that of visualization. And he did a long time training in visualizing himself being capsized with the head in the water, and visualize himself that he would turn up in the air, with the head in the air, with the head above, and continue his kayak. That was his visualization, and it did happen when he tried. Finally he tried, and because of a big wave he capsized, and somehow he was able to come back straight up again and complete his crossing of the ocean. But the training was done in the mind through visualization. And there are also many big, very renowned sports personalities who use visualization, before they actually go and do their sport, whatever it is. In car racing, they visualize themselves in the how you say, the road that they have to drive. They visualize it. Motorcycle racing, so many other sports, they visualize, and then they actually go and do it. So visualization is not something which is only for yogic, mystical, esoteric kind of things. No. It is a useful tool, potential power of the mind that can be utilized. That can be utilized in order to improve our expression and quality of life. And it is part of yogic lifestyle. It is part of yogic lifestyle. So this was in brief something in relation to visualization. Thank you very much. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat.